Okay, now that we have Redux in place and React Redux, we have our store and we have our reducers to be able to increment and decrement the counter state of 0. So it'll have the same functionality as we had on our home component, but statewide instead, and as a reducer instead of a plain function in the component. But now we need to be able to read that state from the components. So what we have to do is go to home. Let's just try it in our home component, and then we're going to import connect with the brackets from React Redux. And then instead of exporting our class up here, we're going to move it down at the bottom of the page, export default, and we're going to use that connect we just imported. And we're going to do map state to props, and then our component is named home, so then we're going to map our state to props, and we're going to connect the state to our component. And we're actually going to create a const map state to props equals state. Might have to look at something for this. I kind of forget the syntax. And then return, let's see. Okay, const map state to props, return. Okay, so in this instance, we're returning an object. And there we used user, which we will eventually use. But right now it's called counter and state.counter. So let's reload to make sure it still works. Everything's working fine. And then we should, emphasis on should, because it never works out the way I want the first time. You should be able to use this .props, kind of like we did in our web application when we explicitly passed in props from one component to the other. This way, it's kind of having you're accessing props of the global state. So this .props.counter, and it should show as 0, and of course it does not. Let's see if we get any errors. Nope. Okay, that was it. So we were referring to state.counter, where our root state is counter. So we could actually just export it without naming it. Yeah, okay. So once we have more reducers, we're going to want to name each reducer and then combine those reducers. So you'll be able to do state.counter, state.user, state.feed. But right now, since it's super simple, we just have a single state at the root. So we're just assigning a number to the state. So now we can see home equals 125. If we change that to 115, that changes. And then here's where the magic happens. If we do the same thing on profile, pass in profile, remove the default from up above, and then import connect. And we're going to call this .props.counter. And there we go. So anytime we change it, it'll change throughout the entire app. You don't have to do anything extra. You don't have to do component did mount and then look for this item. It's just available anywhere you do this map state to props and then use the connect from React Redux. So now we're able to view the state from the reducer. So you can see that the reducer is just storing the state basically. But we're not even calling these functions yet. So there's a case of increment and it adds 1, and decrement and it removes 1. And next we're going to add some actions to be able to call these cases and to be able to add and subtract from this overall state, just like we did on this home page of adding and subtracting. And you can see here they're how the numbers are independent of each other. Even though they're doing the same thing, this is a local state, and then 115 is a global state within the entire application. So I hope you join me for the next one, and we're going to start adding some functions called actions to be able to modify our Redux store. See ya!